Python programming for beginners, understanding print statements, data types, and variables.
Welcome to another video of Smart Architectural Programming on Python Basics. My name is Mohammed, and coding alongside me is
George, and today we'll be going over data types, Python basics, and essentially Mohammed will kick that off.
So this is the first of our videos that will be going over Python basics, and in particular will be just be focusing on exactly what you'll be taught in any university program's first class, exactly what you need to know about Python. You learn about print statements, you learn about variables, and you learn about data types. And these are very important fundamentals if you want to get good at any language. And they do, if you learn them well in a single language, they do, cross over to other programming languages. But to get really good at a programming language, your understanding of Python basics or just the basics, these basics is essential to become a, seasoned programmer. So we'll kick this off with the first thing that's taught in any programming class, and that is how to print statements. In whatever language course that you pick up, whether that's Java, whether that's C, that's C++, that's Python, that's JavaScript, the first thing that everybody is going to teach you how to print hello world on the console. So that's what we're going to do. So the thing about Python is that Python is in a very, very simple language compared to the other languages I listed above, which sometimes have very esoteric syntax and rules that you need to follow. Python doesn't have any of that. So to print anything in Python, you just write print, open bracket, write down whatever data type you want to print, close bracket. That's it. That's all you need to do to print something on the console using Python. Here to print hello world, you write print, you enter a string or a couple of a sentence which is hello world in our case here in double quotation marks, and then you're done. That's all you need to do to do print statements in Python. So if we run this program code here, we'll see hello world has been printed to the console. Now, that was more than simple enough. So we'll move to the next thing after this, which is variables. Now, what are variables? So in any program, whenever you're building any program, that may be the smallest of scripts or the largest of programs that big companies like Microsoft, Google, Meta, all of these companies build, a very fundamental part of that is to make sure that data is stored and acted upon. Like that's the basis of most programs that you'll see. There's data, and then something is done to that data using an algorithm. Now, how can you do something to a data when you don't know how to save that data to the machine? And that is where variables come in. Now, in most programming languages, you need to qualify exactly what data type is going to go into what variable. But in Python, as I said before, everything is just as English language would be, and most of the stuff is done under the hood. For example, the qualification that you need to do, whether you're entering a string or integer or a floating point number, in simple terms, whether you're entering a word, a number, Python automatically identifies that in your variable under the hood. So it's very simple how we can set up variables in Python. It's just you name your variable. After that, you enter an equality sign. After that, you enter whatever you want to save within that variable. So if you look at line 2, we call our variable here name equals to John in double quotation marks. And that would save name as a variable. In the name variable, a value that of a value called John within that. Then in line 3, we have a variable called age, which equals to an int called int equal 30. So age contains the value 30. Now, if we print these two values, which is name and age, instead of the print statement printing name and age respectively, it would print John and 30 instead. Now, if you look at line 4, you'll understand. We declare name, and after name we enter comma. So whenever we need to print more than one thing in a print statement, we just add a comma and write in the next thing after that. So name comma is, that's a direct string that we're printing, then comma, then we're printing the age variable, comma, we're printing the years old string directly. So if we run this, John is 30 years old. So that is important to understand, because that's how you're going to save persistent data within your program, your script, or your software for your algorithm to act upon, basically. Now that we basically understand exactly what variables are, the next, probably the most important part of this video is we're going to move towards that, which is data types. So what are data types? So every data are the fundamental values that you'll be dealing with, or we deal with when we're using programs, whether we're browsing to a website, reading words written there, we're pulling numbers out of some database. All of that involves data that we're using. And how to deal with these different data requires different approaches. For example, you're taught English language separately from mathematics. English deals with words, math deals with numbers, and it is exactly the same in programming. You need to make sure that you deal with different data types differently and employ different data types where they are where it is appropriate. So just like that, but programming also qualifies data a little more precisely than just English or math dichotomy that we discussed earlier. So number one, we'll just go over here and look at, if you look at line 2s and 3s, 2 and 3, we'll see two variables, str1 and str2, both are strings. But the reason we have two strings here is to explain that in Python, you can save strings two-way. So in string str1, we'll see the string saved exactly as we saved the string above, or wrote the string in any of the two concepts we discussed above. We wrote a string within two double quotations. Similarly, we can also do the same thing as you can see in str2 by using single quotation marks surrounding a string or a word that we want to save as a string. So we can use either or. It's not that important. I just wanted to give you a little more exposure in the sense that you could do both ways. Like there's no strict guideline of doing either this or that. But in some programming languages, this is strictly mandated. There is strictly mandated syntax. You can't have options as you can see as you have in Python, basically. In line